Hi, and welcome to Cover Brand, where we cover all things branding, marketing, and advertising to help you understand what the hell branding is and how it works to grow your business. Welcome and welcome back to Cover Brand. I'm Ethan Decker, and we are doing something different today. First of all, I want to introduce my co-host, Laura Dodds. Laura is an outstanding marketing and demand generation leader, innovative brand builder, and a perennial thorn in my side. Laura, how are you?
Ethan, why would you say that about me?
Because it's in the script. I have to read whatever is on the cue card.
I don't think I would have written that in the script. That's
Well,
actually really rude.
those who know you might say otherwise. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
It's so far a good day, but you never know. It could go sideways at any minute.
That's the spirit.
That's what makes life exciting. So today we're doing something different on Cover Brand. We are actually going to start a series where we cover a new show by Jimmy Fallon called On Brand. Is that right? It's called On Brand because it's about the On Brand agency. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you haven't heard about this, it's going to be a 8 or 9 part show, I think. It's a reality TV series. Jimmy Fallon, I think, came up with it, and it combines a bunch of things he loves, like reality TV, being on stage and in front of the camera, and advertising. So it's a show where they bring together a bunch of fairly everyday people, and they actually try and solve some big brand marketing challenges. Does that sound about right for the summary?
Yeah, and extremely lucrative brand deals. I think this show pays for itself just in the brand
Right.
deals from
Yeah,
each episode sponsor. So if you
for
can make a
sure.
TV show for free
Yeah.
at a bare minimum, that's a great deal in my book.
Well, the show is sponsored by Samsung, apparently, or at least underwritten by it. And then each episode features a different brand that probably does support the show quite a bit and seems to commit to actually doing some of the ideas generated on the show by the contestants. Um, I wonder if it's a little bit more like Shark Tank, where none of the deals are actually binding and they have to, get through some of the actual paperwork later. I know, shocker. They actually do say that on air on Shark Tank at the beginning of the show, but most people forget that that's part of the business side of reality TV.
Well, we see at the end, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we see at the end that the winner of this first challenge does
Don't
actually. Okay.
don't give it away. Don't give it
I'm
away.
not going to say who the winner is.
Well, you were talking about the stakes. So what was at stake? What was being
Okay.
offered as the prize? Right? So it was a trophy, being innovator of the episode
Innovator of the week.
or the season. Oh, that's true. It's just of the week for each one.
They're competing to be crowned innovator of this year or of this season.
And they get $100,000.
$100,000 of spread an ad week.
Yeah.
And some of their campaigns are actually executed.
Yes. So in this case, well, I think we should start with the beginning, which is meeting the hosts and then meeting the cast and then talking about this week's corporate sponsor / brand that the people are coming up with an ad campaign for.
Yeah, so the sort of conceit of the show is that they've gathered 10 everyday Americans from across the country who all have had various interactions or touch points with branding, whether it be personal branding or, marketing agency or in-house.
Professor, right?
Pardon?
One is a professor of marketing.
Yeah, so a professor, yeah. So they all have like some sort of interaction with marketing and branding.
But different levels.
Yes. We have some that are very young. They really highlight the age differences in the show. Some people that have multiple careers. There's one cast member who he's an MC for a honky-tonk bar in Dallas, but he also does marketing for them. So not necessarily super a technical marketing position as far as how, but he obviously knows something about branding and personal branding.
Right. And he's an entertainer.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's entertaining.
He is very entertaining,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
But the host, speaking of entertainers, Jimmy Fallon, I think everybody should know who Jimmy Fallon is.
Heard of him, yes.
Heard of him a little bit. Certainly an entertainer, first and foremost, but he's also obviously a very good businessman too. I don't even know how many side hustles he has. I don't know if he has as many varied ones as like Ryan Reynolds, who has a stake in a soccer team in Wales, I think it is, and also sells gin brands and also sells Mint Mobile. Anyway, Jimmy Fallon is a businessman and an entertainer. And then his co-host is Bozoma St. John. Had you heard of her before the show?
Yes, I had. I am a reality TV girly. So I actually saw her in last season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
That's right. She's in Real Housewives.
Yeah.
Because I knew her prior as a very high-profile CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, to a variety of companies.
That's actually also how I knew her, not the reality TV thing. I knew her from industry expertise.
Got it. Yes. And she has some very high-profile posts, including Chief Brand Officer at Uber, Head of Global Consumer Marketing at Apple for 3 years, Head of Music and Entertainment Marketing at PepsiCo for 3 years, VP of Marketing at Ashley Stewart for a year. So sometimes it raises the question, well, she's very high profile. Did she actually have a big impact on the companies? Her Uber stint was just 1 year, but that could mean anything, right? That could mean it was a bad fit. It could mean that Uber wasn't ready for the kind of stuff she was bringing. And we have to say, of course, she's a Black woman in corporate America, which means she's got tons of headwinds and tons of challenges that a lot of white guys probably don't face.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a realistic, and I'm the last person that would ever be commenting on length or stints at careers. Sometimes things happen that are outside of your control and you grow and you're better from them.
Yeah, that 16 minutes you had at DoorDash was a little short to put on your LinkedIn page.
I actually did drive for DoorDash for a couple of months at one point in my life. So
yeah. I think it's the repeated short stints that become a red flag. If you've had 4 places that you've only been at for about 4 months to a year each, then maybe it's not them, maybe it is you. But I don't think that's the case for you, Laura.
I hope not.
So Bozoma, high profile. She is very charismatic. She's very flashy. She's been at some very big brands. And so it'll be interesting to see if she really does bring the expertise or if she is, again, just very charismatic and high profile and a great foil to Jimmy, who plays himself as the entertainer, and she's the true expert.
One thing that would be interesting, and hopefully we'll get it more in future episodes, is seeing that mentorship. I don't think we necessarily got too much of that, but this was the intro episode. They have to do a lot of exposition to get us there. So hopefully we'll see more of that mentorship and that editing process and all of that in later episodes.
Speaking of just the editing, I gotta mention that it was clear watching it for me, just that first episode, that they have so much more content that they can fit into 42 minutes or whatever it is for a network show. Because they didn't have all of those previews to this thing that happens at the very final scene. Tune in, coming up next, watch next, up next we see, and then they rehash the same damn clip and over like they do with Dancing with the Stars or something like that. Or Survivor does that terribly, don't they?
I love Survivor, but the intro episode for the latest season was 2 hours long and not much happened.
And 30 minutes
Um,
of it probably is just prequel to the next
yeah.
segment. That's filling space. Here they have a lot of content. You know, Bozoma did say that she was interested in the mentorship part. And you're
Mhm.
right. So far, there was not a lick of evidence that it's going to be like The Voice, where they really do teach and coach and mentor people. We'll see.
We shall see.
We shall
One
see.
thing that really stuck out to me was in the introduction of the episode, Jimmy Fallon says that brands need bigger and louder ideas than ever before to stand out in the market.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that statement?
I think there is some truth to it, but I think that's only when you're actually addressing something like advertising or PR, or trying to go for something that creates buzz, a PR stunt or some kind of social media thing. Because the bulk of good marketing doesn't have to be very loud. It just has to be very smart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like as much as a lot of people love to talk about Red Bull and how much content they make, I mean, Red Bull itself as a company spends more money and has more people focused on content than they
Mm-hmm.
have money or people focused on the actual liquid, because they outsource the production of that now, as far as I know. On the other hand, look at 5 Hour Energy, which might be as good, if not a better company, a better brand. It's kind of, it seems lame. I mean, it's called 5 Hour Energy. It's not called Red Bull. It doesn't have a cool logo. It has a little person kind of running. It's those silly little, very brightly colored vials. You've seen them
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's the
like a
thing.
shot.
The shots, they're everywhere. This is a multi-billion-dollar brand that has premium shelf space at every 7-Eleven across the country and every gas station across the country. And it's a very unsexy but very, very hardworking brand.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not
Yeah,
shouting.
that's true.
They're not loud and exciting and fun.
I mean, you don't get much louder than, having a Formula One team. So
Seriously.
that
Yeah.
that stands true. I think that when I heard that quote, I sort of paused and I was like, is that true? I don't think that we should necessarily be like leaning into we have to have the loudest brand, bigger,
Mm-hmm.
louder, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we're just playing like the absurdity Olympics.
Yeah.
And really what we need to be doing is be big and loud when it makes sense and when it's appropriate, but also make sure that that appeals to your audience. There's a
Yes.
lot of brands where that doesn't appeal to their audience. They
Yeah.
don't want the big and loud.
You know,
Um,
loud is a word, maybe like another word I hate in marketing, especially advertising, is brave. Like, good God, do not exhort your clients to be brave. No one wants to be brave in marketing. They want to cover their ass. They want to secure their job and make sure they get their bonus and hit their quarterly numbers. So most of the job in marketing, especially at the senior level of these big companies, is saying no to things and hedging your bets and being, what I like is being smart. Not brave, smart. And if you're uncomfortable about a smart idea, then maybe you got to deal with the emotional baggage of that and help people get over that. But you don't have to be loud to be good, and you don't have to be brave to be good. You do, in either case, have to be smart.
have to be smart.
Yeah.
And I think we see that represented in the winner of this challenge,
Who
which
we'll
in a
get
second
to.
we'll get to, we promise. But that campaign wasn't necessarily the biggest and the loudest, but there
Right.
were things about it that really resonated. So even
So
in this first episode, we see maybe that's not true.
yeah. So we meet the hosts, Jimmy and Bozoma. We understand the conceit of the show, which is a bunch of fairly everyday people suddenly getting the opportunity to win 100 grand and do campaigns that might actually be run by huge brands. It's a reality show. And then we meet our first sponsor, our first brand, which is Dunkin' Donuts.
Not Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin'.
Dunkin'. Oh,
They
you're
dropped the
right.
donuts. I don't know when they dropped the donuts. I learned last night, but it is just Dunkin'.
That's right.
So
That's right. Wow, 2018, effective 2019. So it's been a few years.
We're
But
a little late.
you know what, though? This is normal because I'm guessing most people still call it Dunkin' Donuts. And that's
Of
okay
course.
because it's been 50 years of Dunkin' Donuts and only 5 of Dunkin'. And it's true, they do, I think, sell a lot more coffee than they do donuts. And they also sell a lot more iced coffee and smoothies and frappes and whatnot than they do hot coffee. So these lingering brand images stick in people's minds for a long time. But Dunkin',
Yeah.
we get to see a couple of really professional people show up, which is their CEO and their CMO. Their CEO is, I've got it here, Scott Murphy. He's been at Dunkin' 21 years. He's a vet of the organization, and he's an operations guy, which, again, speaking of loud and bold versus boring but effective, operations is really where the rubber hits the road. And
Mhm.
that's, I think, why he is the president, because he knows how to get the damn thing running smoothly. And then Jill Nelson, who's been at Dunkin' for 9 years, and she's also a really savvy marketer, and she's their chief marketing officer. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And a
So
savvy
they
dresser. She wore a nice bright pink suit, I
snazzy
think, for this.
dresser on brand.
On brand, which I'm a fan of. You might have noticed. I
Oh,
wear a
I
little
hadn't.
orange.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Uh, so the client comes in
Mhm.
and they share their sort of creative brief for the first phase of this competition.
Which I liked. It was a solid brief, right?
Mhm. It
It
was
was.
straightforward.
What did they say? They said people know we have coffee, they know we have donuts, they don't know we have breakfast. Tell them we have food. And
Yeah.
be authentically Dunkin', which I think brand linkage is vital. So I think they're really killing it these days with being authentic, the orange, the pink, the white, and a little bit of brown, and then Dunkin' on everything and riffs on the name. And then they wanted a tagline and then a meal deal box. So it was a pretty clear brief, I think. Pretty good
Yeah.
brief. Yeah.
I'm sure they worked hard on nailing down those briefs. I know not always in the agency world do you get
Oh my God.
the most direct brief.
Or you get
Uh,
these requests for deep, insightful stuff. And you don't always need some deep, insightful human truth. Maybe you do when you get to some creative ideas, but for the brief, it's, hey, no one knows about our food, or people don't think of us for food primarily. They think of us for coffee and donuts, and make sure it's on brand and make sure it works on the face of a box, because we're going to be having boxes and we want the boxes to be everywhere in the
mhm.
code. I think that's a good, clean brief. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I applaud them
definitely.
for that. And then they're
Yeah.
going to test it in store with actual customers, which I think is a good step, because you never know if it's going to work till it makes contact with the universe.
Like your favorite topic of all time, the now infamous Cracker Barrel rebrand, um,
Yeah.
may or may not have been tested in stores. We may never
Right.
know.
Yeah. I'm sure they did research. I'm sure they did research.
Sure.
Um, whether they listened to it, whether it was good research, there are all kinds of questions. So we can't jump to those conclusions, even about our own conclusions. But yeah, I like the fact that they, at least, we're gonna, even for TV, do some test marketing, do
Mhm.
some real people interactions, see what happens. And that was interesting because, well, we'll talk about it, because there was a
Talk about it.
reveal about the test itself during the show. But
Mhm.
we got to see a bunch of ideas, right? All the
Yes.
different contestants pitched their ideas, uh, and then there were 2 winners. Are we going to talk about all the ideas, or just a couple highlights, or just get to the winners? What do you
Well,
want
I
to do?
mean, there are a couple of things that I definitely would highlight. For instance, we had a contestant named Lauren
Mm-hmm.
pitched an F1 campaign. And honestly, as an F1 fangirl myself, I would also be pitching an F1 campaign until I get to meet the drivers.
Well,
That
yes,
seems like a
yeah,
no-brainer. So I
yeah.
really liked that one, but it maybe didn't. meet the brief as well. But I
Yep.
am right there with you. I say
Breakfast
F1
fuel.
campaign for
Yeah.
all of these.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes you see an idea like an F1 campaign and you say that could be good, but maybe there's something else, or maybe there's something that doesn't take focus away from Dunkin'. Because when you
Mhm.
add another brand, now you've got two brands in the mix. And F1 is great, but also maybe it could overshadow the real news here, which is that Dunkin' has breakfast. And so her campaign was breakfast fuel, and on the box she had the word duh. So yeah, for her it was a no-brainer. Um, Someone said, I think it was the CMO said that might be offensive. I think for editing, they just grabbed one or two tiny pieces of feedback. Some of them were
Mhm.
okay, some of them were a little off the cuff. What else? Any other early contenders that we need to mention?
Well, I do have an honorable mention
Mhm.
but I'll save that for later.
Okay.
But it was
Okay.
very near and dear to my heart just from the breed aesthetics.
Okay.
Um,
There's one I do want to mention, BT,
mhm.
who is
Yes.
I call him Guy Fierodio because he's kind of the rodeo Guy Fieri. Uh, he had it's not just America runs on Duncan, the galaxy runs on Duncan. And frankly, I thought that was a great idea, but maybe for a different project. And maybe it's a tie-in with Star Wars or Star Trek, you know, a major franchise.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, right?
yeah.
Or, of course, it could have been good for Guardians of the Galaxy, which is my favorite of all the Marvel movies.
Oh, I like that. I definitely think it was a good idea. It
Mhm.
wasn't as polished as some of the others were, and
Yeah,
so we lost a little bit of the idea by
yep,
sort of laughing at the absurdity of the pitch,
correct.
which I think might have hurt him in the long run.
Yeah, he had a
But
costume, he had glasses, he had a Baby Yoda or alien strapped to his chest. I forget which one it was. He had a lot
and
of theatrics.
you can only I've only had a few opportunities where it's appropriate to pitch with a baby aliens in like a little
True,
sling strapped to my chest. So,
true.
you have to be really thoughtful about when you pull that out.
Yeah. How many different creatures do you have to strap to your chest in your closet? We'll cover that in another episode. So yeah, I thought that sometimes that happens too, that you have a good idea, but it's for a different brief or a different project. So the
Mhm.
Galaxy runs on Duncan. I think that's a nice riff on America runs on Duncan, just for later. Um, and then there was a point where someone was shocked that someone had a similar concept to her. I think it was when Bianca was about to pitch and Azelle went first and had an idea based on decision fatigue. And
Mhm.
oh no, and they built up a little bit of that drama in the editing, right? Right. But frankly, having worked in agencies, you see multiple teams come with the same ideas all the time. You see multiple brands showing up with similar ideas all the time. You see different agencies pitching with similar ideas all the time when they're pitching for their
Mhm.
client's business. So it's not uncommon. In fact, it's pretty common. But Bianca did do really well, and I think there's a reason that hers got picked over Azelle's. Two things. One little, which was, did you hear how she said, according to research, we make 35,000
Mhm.
decisions a day? Whether or not it's really true, it was great that she did some research and did try to look for some human truths or some trending issues like decision fatigue. And then B, I think her idea was a little tighter than Azelle's, which is why it was one of the finalists, which gets us to the finalists, right? Da, 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 we're finally here.
Yes. So we have Ryan Wynn, ironically, is his Ryan Wynn is his last name. He owns a small marketing agency in Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
and his brief was breakfast built for doers.
Yes.
Uh,
And the very blue collar, right? It had the power
mhm.
pail was his thought,
Yes.
was
Yeah.
an old school metal lunch pail was the symbol.
Yes. Now, being born and raised in the South, I didn't necessarily connect with hockey, which was how he started his
Oh
pitch. I don't
yeah.
know what that is. That's very scary to me. Cold, no thank you.
Mm-hmm. You lose teeth.
But
You get in fights.
ugh,
Yeah.
um, it's not as big of a thing for me,
Mm-hmm.
personally, but I think what was really at the heart of it was that Dunkin' is for everyone. They really wanted a campaign that didn't alienate anyone in the United States, something that spoke to everyone. And so I think that's one of the reasons this campaign really stood out as well.
You know, when the CMO of Dunkin', Jill Nelson, one of her first comments about breakfast built for doers was that the the lunch pail might be too blue collar and might alienate
Mhm.
people. I thought I was thinking a lunch pail, a classic metal lunch pail, is just an incredibly iconic symbol. And I think there's a reason so many people wear denim jeans from a brand called Levi's. That was workwear. 100 years ago, denim jeans were workwear, and people wanted to feel tough and wanted to look tough. And Carhartt has had an incredible resurgence because it's workwear, and white collar people want to feel tough sometimes. So I didn't go with her to the place where it might be off putting to people, but I do hear that they wanted to make sure they weren't just
Mhm.
attracting blue collar people. But I think you can have a blue collar symbol and attract white collar people,
Okay.
you know?
I also think that like the economy and sort of where we're going culturally,
Mm.
Americana, that grit, all of that, whether you like it or not, we do see that that is becoming more trendy right now
Mhm.
as people are a little bit more scared to spend their dollars
Yeah.
and so that traditional Americana spirit is coming back. So I think it's relevant to the time that we're in right now.
Yeah. So there was a lot of merit to it, which I think is why
Mhm.
it went through. And it
Yeah.
is also about still that notion of like, hey, this is for getting stuff done. This is for working, which leans into the whole America runs on Dunkin', and Dunkin' is for people who work, not who sit around and lounge in a third space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, lounging in the third space is fine.
it
You can
is.
be both.
You absolutely can. But again, that's not the Dunkin' ethos. So I think to
Oh,
be authentically Dunkin', it is about like, hey, get your lunch pail, get out to work. Let's go. Let's crack
yeah.
the whip. Um, and then the other winner we alluded to already was Bianca, right?
Mhm. Yes. With her decision detox. So we make 35,000 decisions in a day. That's overwhelming. Do I wake up? Do I hit snooze? Do I get out of bed and make it? Do I
Mm-hmm.
leave the bed unmade? Do I brush my teeth this morning? Do I not brush my teeth this morning?
Yeah.
Every single decision that we're making that we don't recognize we're making. So let's make one thing easier. Your breakfast is handled. We already figured this out for you. You don't have to decide. It's
Did you
done.
see she added the apostrophe to handled as well?
Yes, I liked that.
Breakfast
I liked
handled.
that.
I thought that was a great little tagline and a great
Mhm.
riff on Duncan with the apostrophe. So, yeah, she got a little off the base there with the classified thing and the secret documents with things
Secret
redacted.
agent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but breakfast handled, which was great thought, was something they did pull out and move forward to the finals.
Mhm. One thing I think Bianca did really well was receiving feedback and pivoting based off of that.
Hmm.
We see that in the first phase of the competition. We also see it in the second phase, which we'll get into in a second. But
Yeah.
she heard the feedback. Hey, we want this to feel even more Dunkin'. There's a lot of black in the original
Hmm.
packaging. They said black isn't really in our brand language, visual language. The secret agent isn't really us. So she took
Hmm.
the heart of what made her campaign so great, paired that with the feedback, and really pushed her campaign to the next level.
Yeah.
Hers had, I think, the biggest transformation between the first and second round.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was good to see.
Agreed. You cannot be attached to your ideas. I once pitched a whole bunch of ideas to Twizzler, They were one of our clients when I was at Crispin Porter Bogusky, and one of my colleagues, Darcy, was the creative lead on that. And they shot down every idea. And they were really good ideas. I mean, a couple of them were a little wackadoodle, but also I think they could have worked. I think they were
Okay.
smart. And you know, we were all bummed. The team was bummed that they shot down every single idea. But Darcy was like, oh, well, I guess we'll make some more. And it was
Wow.
incredible. And he's an incredible creative and has worked on things like The Most Interesting Man in the World and Dominoes. So he really knows his stuff. And for him to just say, yeah, that's our job, we come up with ideas, is great. Which gets me to
That's
another.
impressive.
I know. So you're right. They took the feedback well, and that is a key thing. You just have to roll with it and go with it. I do think there was some questions about pitching, right? They talked about pitching itself and the energy it takes. Bozoma made some comments about this. And it's true that you are selling at every step. You are selling to your colleagues. You are selling to your creative leader. You're selling to the CEO of your company. They're selling it to the board of directors. And then finally, you're selling it to consumers. So there are some agency people I know who went client side, are like, finally, I won't have clients. No, you're just
No.
you just work with them all day instead of just pick up the phone and dial them in once a week. So yeah, you are in a sense always selling, and the energy, the enthusiasm, and the rationale is always important. And so I think we'll continue to see that in the series.
So after the first section, the two winners are chosen. They have feedback. They have some time to refine their ideas, and then they go and actually test them out in a Dunkin store.
Yeah,
where consumers get to come in and decide which campaign resonated with them more.
Which was
And
interesting and a little forced. I mean, it's TV style research, so kudos to them for wanting to get it out and test it and experiment. But yeah, it's a little weird of a research methodology, I would say.
But we see again in that instance where Bianca goes and sees that she's receiving feedback that the other campaign is performing better than hers. And so in the moment, she decides to pivot because there was something that was not resonating with the consumers. And it was that first interaction.
Right, which was not mentioned at the beginning. We saw the interior of the store where it was Bianca's table with her merch, and her merch item was a magic 8-ball, but it was like a Dunkin'. I
loved it.
I loved that idea.
It.
And so you ask it a question and it says a funny answer. The magic 8-balls are those old things from the 80s, or maybe even before, where you shake them. The 70s? How old is the magic 8-ball?
I don't know. I'm familiar with the magic 8-ball.
But I honestly, I don't know if it's as old as a hula hoop. I don't know where it goes back to. But anyway, great merch, great idea. And then breakfast handled. Again, great tagline, cute boxes, great design. You're right, you went from black to pink on the box. And then the other one, which was breakfast for doers. And then the merch was a real like metal lunch pail. So we saw the interior where people were selecting breakfast for doers with the lunch pail. What we then learned was there was some stuff happening, some shit going down outside in front of the store, where both teams were already promoting their campaign. And it turns out that the lunch pail was getting more interest, and no one was really promoting the magic 8-ball and the notion of breakfast being handled as well. So
on the outside, we see one of her team members dressed up as the Dunkin' mascot, asking if they want a photo or not.
Right.
And they're actually adding on an extra decision. Do I want to take this photo or not? So initially it was doing the opposite of what we were hoping the campaign would do, reduce the decisions you have to make.
Correct. Now, Ryan says Bianca yelled a lot, but basically Bianca said, oh my God, we have to promote better outside the store. Before they even walk through the door, they've already made their mind up. So that's when she started showcasing and featuring the magic 8-ball outside the store, not just a guy in a big cup foam cup,
Exactly. And Magic
styrofoam
8
cup.
Ball is fun. It's really fun. Like,
Yeah.
am I gonna get rich? Do I have to go back to work today? Those were the questions people were asking and interacting
Hmm.
with the Magic 8 Ball. And so I thought that was really fun and a
Yeah.
good introduction to the campaign.
Agreed. Agreed. Ultimately, these were two plausible
Mhm.
campaign directions for getting America to think of breakfast at Dunkin', I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Are you ready to go into the winner?
Yes. We
All
can
right.
finally reveal. Boy, they really dragged that out, didn't they? The editing.
The
Um,
winner was Ryan Wynn, his Breakfast for Doers, and the Power Pail. How do you feel
mhm.
about that?
I thought it was a fine choice. I mean, between the two, I mean, a good choice. There were two good choices,
Okay, okay,
which is what
okay,
I'm saying. I'm not saying
okay.
it was an incredibly definitive. Oh, you should have gone with the power pail, but I think it was a good choice. I think that a couple of the pieces of feedback they got in terms of maybe not just having a lunch pail, but also for the box design itself, making one. What was it, like a makeup kit or a swag
There
bag?
was
They had,
an artist's apron.
yeah, they did
And
different versions.
one note, yeah, there was a poster they had with 4 different versions
Hmm.
in that second round,
Yep.
but they only had 2 boxes printed.
Yeah. They had a
So,
great production crew behind the scenes building these
oh,
things
yeah.
together in
Oh,
12
yeah,
hours
for
or 24
sure.
hours. But also you heard people's feedback was, I can use this lunch pail for other things. And oh, it's
Mhm.
so cool and fun. Again, going back to the notion that you don't need to always, you're not just going to appeal to blue collar people with a blue collar symbol. It's kind of like you don't always need to showcase your audience in the ad. Betty White famously sold Snickers to teenagers, and Morgan Freeman has sold a lot of goddamn Mountain Dew to college kids. So you don't need to have white collar people in a campaign if you want to appeal to them as well. And the blue
Okay.
collar pail was, it's just a great iconic and useful and multifunctional thing that might kick around in people's homes, and they might actually get a lot more use out of it than the Magic 8 Ball, even though I love the Magic 8 Ball.
Now, personally, I related to Bianca's campaign more.
Handled.
Breakfast handled
Love
decision
it.
fatigue. I get it. I
Yeah.
would use the Magic 8 Ball more than that lunch pail, if you can believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a lot of great things that made Ryan's campaign stand out. And I think
Yeah.
that's important as marketers is to remove yourself from the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Bianca's campaign appealed to me more doesn't mean it was the right choice.
Correct.
Ryan,
Correct.
yeah. Ryan's campaign, I think the whole conceit of it was that it's for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And more people saw themselves in Ryan's campaign than they did in Bianca's campaign.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the numbers showed that too. They said more customers chose Ryan's campaign over Bianca's.
Yeah.
So,
And as a guy who likes merch, oddly enough, because I started in the world of deep insights, and now I think a good merch game can do a shit ton for you. For instance, good merch sits around the house and reminds people of your brand. Quite simply. And if people are going to actually use those power pails and carry them to a job site or carry them to a work or a school thing, it's going to again make your brand more visible and remind people of your brand at all. And if anyone asks the question of what the hell are you doing with that lunch pail, you can say,
yeah,
oh, it's from this Dunkin' breakfast thing. I got breakfast at Dunkin' and I got this too. It's going to do the work.
yeah.
So it's smart. Good merch is also smart. Yeah.
I
And I
think,
thought,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just thought that the pail was just a touch smarter than the Magic 8 Ball.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What that they didn't touch on, but that kind of stood out to me was sort of the nutritional value of the meal that we're selling. If you think coffee and donuts, you think, okay, that'll fill me up, and then I'll have a
Yep.
sugar crash. But the this phrase power pail and
Mm-hmm.
breakfast for doers implies a lot about the energy and the nutritional value or perceived nutritional value of what you're going to be getting.
Great
And
point.
I think that is something that really stood
Yeah.
out with Ryan's campaign, that was implied. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, this is the healthiest breakfast you're ever going to eat. But it implies that it's going to fuel you
Yeah.
and that you'll feel powerful. So
Yeah.
I think that was really strong.
Yeah. Breakfast handled means it's one less thing and it's done quickly. Breakfast for doers is it does have that little bit of that feel of, oh, this is for people who do stuff. Maybe it is a little bit more nutritious or more about energy.
Mhm.
Laura, one last thing. Did you notice they didn't, I think, even mention it verbally, but if you caught some of the artwork where they talked about, holy shit, we're really going to run this across thousands of stores across the country, or at least hundreds of stores across the country, um, they changed the line from breakfast for doers to breakfast made for doing
Oh,
right at the
I
end,
did not catch that. No, I
which
didn't.
I thought was a really nice final, polishing of the line,
Mhm.
because doing doesn't mean are you a doer or not a doer. It's just for doing when you got to get stuff done.
Just doing. Yeah, get
Because as
stuff
you said,
done.
sometimes you are the kind of person that sits around at a swanky cafe and drinks your frappuccino or your mocha latte. But when you're in the mode for doing, and again the apostrophe, which feeds into Dunkin', so it's even
Yeah,
more ownable.
very
Oh my God. So even that little level of polish at the end, I thought was another great evolution of a 24-hour idea, if it really was 24 hours.
Now, speaking of doing,
Mhm.
I think we have to go circle back to the very beginning
Yes.
and highlight one campaign that we think maybe could have used a little finessing.
Yeah,
Uh,
do tell.
I do think this might set my professional career back quite a bit, but we're gonna have it on record. Me saying the morning lunchbox
The morning
by
lunchbox.
Sabrina.
Mhm.
She pitched it. She 10 toes down said, "This is my campaign."
Bless her
Um,
heart.
I think
And
it highlights the value of having diverse perspectives when you're
mhm.
working on the campaign.
Well, and Sabrina was what, a middle-aged real estate seller,
Mhm.
a real estate broker. She's like, I can sell the crap out of houses. I've never sold anything else. And to be thrown into this world of, yeah, more of a pop culture brand and Dunkin' and not understanding the connotations of a Munchbox and being oblivious to that fact was adorbs.
But
Make for good TV.
it was very
Yeah.
cute.
It's kind of like there's a story, a friend of mine who said, honestly, for a while, her mom would write her texts, and there would be some sad things like her aunt died, and she's like, "Oh, um, I'm so sorry, Aunt Julia died. LOL."
LOL.
And she thought it meant lots of love. And oh, bless her heart, right? So that's adorable that
Yes.
she thought the Munchbox was a good idea.
It's
The
just,
morning lunch.
and it was a riff off of the Munchkin, even though Munchkins weren't included in the
Correct.
deal. But it's a riff off of that, and I think maybe she just needed some extra perspectives on her team to test the ideas and say maybe this isn't the most brand appropriate phrase.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, we got to wrap up, but we've got one more thing before we do that, right?
Yes. Well, actually, the
A
one
key
and
segment.
only the one and only official Ethan Decker Award for Premium Stickiness of the Week, awarded to the campaign that we'll continue to think about until, at the very least, tomorrow.
Uh,
Ethan,
oh,
who gets the award?
I do like sticky. I like smart and I like sticky. Smart and sticky. Those are my favorite terms for good campaigns. I think me personally, I'm just going to be thinking about handled,
Okay.
because I like the term and the fact that there was an apostrophe and it's a modern poppy culturally reference. So I think it's sticky. I can see why Duncan went with breakfast for doing. breakfast made for doing, and it's great. It's totally right. But handled is a little, for me, is the sticky winner.
All right. I love it. I love it. And finally, to wrap us up, we have 2 minutes to win it, where after the brief was presented, I gave myself exactly 2 minutes to come up with my own pitch for this campaign. So
I
we're
love it.
really going to be getting the most supreme, elegant, refined campaigns
Absolutely.
for 2 minutes to win it. So let me
Yes.
go ahead and share.
And we'll describe all this for those of you who are just listening along and not watching.
Of course.
However, if you do ever want to watch, we are available on YouTube and all other, well, no, we're available on YouTube.
All right. Now I've shared it, but it's not showing up on this. Oh, there we
I got
go.
Go ahead.
$6, 7 days a week. This is the 6-7 campaign. Now, Ethan, I know you are of a certain demographic.
Yes, the gray-haired one.
6-7.
I'm an AARP member now.
6-7 is a really trendy Gen Alpha brain rot phrase right now. And so when they mentioned that it was $6 for the meal, all I could think of was 6-7. I think this is a great campaign for reaching the youth of America. You know, we get this campaign and in their heads, and they're going to be saying it everywhere. They'll be saying it in the classroom. They'll be saying it on the car to school.
So explain for the gray hairs, my compatriots who listen to the show, why 6-7 is a phrase. Why is it trending?
So it was just a line in a rap song that became really popular. There's a basketball player. He's 6'7". And I think it's just the way that it's said. It's 6-7. So if you ever hear that, that's what the youths are referencing. So now you know. They won't stop talking about it. Every opportunity to say 6-7, they'll be saying it. So it blew up on TikTok, and it's really pervasive in pop culture right now. So it's a little silly. Super serious. The 6-7, $6, 7 days a week.
I love that as an additional element to the campaign. I don't think it would replace breakfast for doing, or
gold.
It is gold. It is gold. But you gotta, again, in terms of connecting with your audience, like you said, how many folks are going to be oblivious to what 6-7 means? Although $6, 7 days a week is a really clear value message, and it's great that you are focusing on the value of the meal deal at Dunkin. So that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's a good addition to the campaign.
I think it's
I would run it
to really reach the younger generation. This is not for the doers.
Right.
This is for really introducing
scrollers
Dunkin' brand to the next generation of breakfast purchasers.
Yeah.
You know, how often are you driving your kid to school and they say, "Mom, I'm hungry. I didn't eat breakfast." Okay, we've got to pick something up on the way. What should we pick up? 6-7. Okay, that's how we're gonna get the next generation in to become huge brand advocates, lovers, and supporters of Dunkin'.
I like it. Add it. Flight it.
And you can have that for free.
Yeah, exactly. If Dunkin's listening, Bozoma, Jimmy, they won't be listening, of course. But maybe Dunkin is. Maybe the Dunkin crew is listening. Scott and Jill. So okay.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. Hopefully it has helped people have some perspective and some extra analysis on this very fun and silly show that I thought I would like a lot less.
Me too. I enjoyed it, but we're marketers, so maybe we're not to be trusted.
Yeah, well, yes, we can't be trusted anyway, so that's neither here nor there. But it's a fun show. It's a lot less painful and cringe than I thought. I think it does strike a nice balance between something like Naked and Afraid or Amazing Race, where they're just random people thrown into crazy things, or on the other end, Chopped, where you've got real good people with real skills really competing for something. So I think it's fun. It's fun. It's good entertainment. And frankly, in this case, we'll see about next week with Southwest Airlines. Next week, next Friday, 2 days from now or whatever. We got a lot more to watch. They sprung that on us at the end, Laura. So we have to up our speed here. We'll see how Southwest does, but I think Dunkin actually got a viable idea or two out of this show.
And I've been seeing a lot of Southwest ads recently because they've made some changes. So it'll be interesting to see this campaign as it relates to what they're running currently.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for helping create this crazy sub-series within a podcast, which has no right to have a special sub-series at this point. Already 25 episodes in or something like that. But we will be covering On Brand, the TV series, for the duration of the series. So come on back if you want further analysis of the marketing do's and don'ts and what the science really says about what you see on TV.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and we'll see y'all next episode.
See everyone next time. Ciao. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the podcast. And if you want to learn more about brand science, head on over to appliedbrandscience.com. Also, if you got something out of this episode, think of one person who might also get something out of it and send it to them as a way of saying, hey, thinking of you.